All right. Hi, Mashers.
Hi,
Welcome
hi.
back to another Feature Friday on the Book Mash. Ashley and I are beyond excited to be joined by the fabulous indie romance author whose characters bring angst and banter in the swoon. Welcome to our show, Jordana Blake. We're so excited to have you here. Could you take just a moment and introduce yourself and let our viewers know anything that you want them to know about you?
Yeah, I'm Jordana. I have two romances that I refer to as romantic trom-coms. I am a millennial to my core, and so I like to say that my goal is to be some sort of mashup of like Amy Sherman Palladino and Mike Schur. So if you're a Gilmore Girls fan, The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place, who am I forgetting? Oh, Parks and Rec. Like that's what I want you to take away. I love a found family. I love a ragtag team of weirdos. And I say weirdos with only the utmost love and appreciation for the fact that they are big, ridiculous characters and that they still are grounded in some semblance of reality. And for there to be all of that going on in each of the four stories that there will be in the series, while there's still that core of like everything you come to love and expect from a typical romance.
I love Gilmore Girls. It was my favorite show growing up. Tuesdays in middle school were my favorite day of the week because it was Gilmore Girls and art club.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be my
Yeah,
favorite day of the week too, hands down.
Miranda is
very
Absolutely.
still a
cool.
huge Gilmore Girls fan. It's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's
Definitely.
like on repeat often in our
Mhm.
house. Like it's my comfort show to fall asleep, all of those things. And like I just think Amy, her like I don't give a fuck attitude has its problems, don't get me wrong, but like there's something that also is just like kind of amazing about her for it, and she's like look, she's got problematic jokes like anything that's 30 years old at this point. And so I'm not looking to repeat those parts of it, but I want that same like cadence that like talks really fast and really
Yeah.
quirky and quippy and the pop culture baked in, but the pop culture needs to span like 70 years of history because it's not just right in book 1 there's a lot of Taylor Swift, but I didn't really put it at all in book 2. And I'm really trying to make sure now that like everything is either broader or spans even more decades because I realize that's part of Amy's magic that makes it like always feel like Gilmore Girls is relevant on some level.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Okay, well, Miranda did lots of stalking. We talked a little bit about it before we hit record. Miranda's a huge fan of Jordana. She saw on your site that you're all about messy, beautiful, character-driven stories. You said your books are for readers who want to feel everything. What inspired you to start writing these raw, emotionally rich romances?
So it's funny because we were just talking about Gilmore Girls. The first thing that I would say is, where the fuck did Lindsay go? So Lily, my first main character, is very loosely based off of that idea. It was justice for Lindsay, the idea that like somebody noticed her. And the other piece of it was just that like I had started reading, so my child, one of my children is autistic, and I started reading everything that they give you as a parent when you get that information, and it's medical and it's
Oh, yeah.
clinical and it's heavy and it's really depressing. And I was already like a KU reader. And so I started like searching and I found Chloe Leese, who has the Bergman siblings series as well as the Wilmot siblings. And she herself is an autistic adult who writes stories that have every type of chronic health and neurodivergent rep. And I really loved this idea of her tagline, her motto is everyone deserves a love story.
I
And
love
it
it.
was so nice to see that. And I was like, right, like we're all a little bit broken in our own way, but the right person loves us because of it, not in spite of it necessarily,
Yeah.
right? Like they see whether it's like, hey, you survived this really terrible thing, and I love the way that you're looking at the world because of it, or the way that you've now dedicated yourself to taking care of somebody else because of it, or you know, that like you didn't let this stop you. And that thing could be anything, right? Like it could be an invisible health condition, it could be about your neurobiology, but it could also just be everything from grief and loss to all of the little things that nobody knows about you except for that really special inner circle. And so I want my characters to be messy, I want them to be people, but I also want them to get to do some of the absurd things that real people want to do, or like that story that you have from that one time you did that really ridiculous thing with all your friends at like that bachelorette party, or that this or this that, like still kind of weave those in and make it entertaining. I don't want it to feel like I'm like hitting you over the head with learning something. I just want you to like, if you are like Lily, somebody who I didn't know I had ADHD until I was in my 30s. Or if you're somebody like Nessa, who's an eldest daughter, and so you take on so much more for your family than everybody else is seeing, right? Like, and you care deeply, but also maybe sometimes your younger siblings don't really get it. And so they think you're being kind of a brat or this or that, right? Like all of those pieces of the puzzle, I want there to always be something that you look at the women. It's funny, right? Like we always talk about book boyfriends, and I can swoon about who I like, why I love the men that I've written. But like for me, it's so much about, I wanted that moment where you got to see a little bit of yourself, because we love to self-insert in the female main character. We want to feel that. And so being able to put in something where you know that there's a specific woman out there who's maybe looking for that, who needs somebody who says, hey, you know, yeah, I come across as prickly, but it's actually that I'm overworked and I'm not telling anybody I need help, which is like 90% of the women I know. Yeah. Right? Like, and so that you feel you have that moment, because that moment that I had with those books where I was like, oh, wow, that's like so like me. Not just like, oh, I love this and I'm entertained by this, but I could not just like self-insert to like dissociate, but like actually felt like, yeah, no, like that's something that I could see being like me. It really clicked in a way that nothing else had at that point. And because it was so much that was so heavy, and then romance is just all hope and joy, I was like, that's where I want to be. I want to live in that space full of hope and joy.
I love that so much. It's great to be able to read a book and relate not just to the characters, but also feel like you can be empowered to take what you're reading and put it into the real world. And I think you do a great job with that. So I definitely really appreciate you talking about being a representative for all these different people that might be struggling with different things, whether it's health related or something else. I think that's really cool.
What she said.
And then I love your t-shirt, and like you have a morally gray problem. And I will say my boys are the exact opposite. I write the greenest flag down bad simps on the planet. Like they are the polar opposite of the morally gray man. And that's okay, right? Like we need to have both in the bookish world. I'm not hating on a morally gray man. I just have realized that this is my niche. Like that is who they are.
Yeah. We also need the ones that aren't morally gray. We need like the swoony, like gonna do everything for you without being the stalker weirdo. So
and the stalker weirdos are important. And the stalker weirdos are important. And I think of them as like the sweetest little cinnamon rolls and like golden retrievers with puppy energy. But somebody referred to one of my two male main characters as a stalker. So like, hey, maybe, you know.
By the way, Miranda designed this shirt.
Nice. River. Somebody described River as like creepy and stalkerish because he like was pining for her for all those years, but like she was like a quasi like a mid-tier influencer, and so he was like following her, and like they would stay in touch, but they never like really connected until she came back to town. And so somebody referred to it as being creepy, and I was like, I guess that's interesting if you say so.
Right. I mean, he didn't cut somebody's arm off and put it on her porch, so it can't be that
he didn't. He didn't. We didn't go that far.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're talking about male characters with Mateo in fighting. How do you craft such a layered male lead who is both, like you mentioned, grounded, but also heartbreakingly vulnerable at the same time?
I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. I think it's the fact that I'm fortunate enough to have a man in my life who can be that sort of like real, and he's done the work. Again, romance books just kept being like, hey, why don't you read this thing that I just read? And getting him into the books that I was reading helped with a lot of that. And now he's always like, more dudes should be reading this. It's like a manual for what we could, not only like what you care about and how to do certain things. Like I was like, yeah, that's why we hand them to you, honey. And I think the other piece with Mateo was that I started off in I wanted Jason Mendoza from The Good Place. I wanted Manny Jacinto vibes in that. And I wanted a little bit of that like Peralta and Amy, or if you've seen Heart of Dixie from the CW, like Wade and Zoe. I wanted those vibes. I wanted that like he is absolutely like a dum-dum. He antagonizes her. He's the boy who pulls your pigtails because he likes you and he doesn't know how to tell you that. And at some point, like in the arc, I need them to grow up a little bit. And I think that if you look at all of those shows that I mentioned, other than Jason, the other two really do. They don't do it quickly because they're shows that had 13 to 24 episodes in a season. They go on for multiple seasons. So you have to condense it. So you have to kind of like speed that up or have it that they start. For me, I think they start a little bit closer to that, but it's really just about, somebody once said to me, write the world you wish you lived in. And so I can have people who are punished for making decisions that we all know would be bad, like gentrification to price people out of their small town, not being an okay thing in this world, right? Like you can make it that men hear you and that they make changes, or that they try at least, because it's where I want to live.
I think everybody.
Yeah, definitely. That is a great quote. That's something that you could really think on for a long time. I love that.
Yeah.
Miranda, there's another shirt idea.
Right?
Give credit to Jordana on it.
No, it came from Catherine Nolan said it to me.
Oh.
So give them credit. But yeah.
Love it. Yeah, Miranda.
Beautiful.
So like I said, I haven't got to read either one of them yet. Miranda literally, she's like, have you read it yet? Have you read? And I'm a very slow reader. We did have a goal to try to have all of the books of the authors that were coming on read before they came on, and then we started filming 6 people in a week, and I can't read that fast. So Miranda keeps yelling at me to like push it up towards the top. So I tried. But for readers who are new to reading anything that you have put your glory beautiful stamp on, what makes fighting the perfect place to start?
Okay, so the nice thing about the series is that they are interconnected standalone, so you don't have to read book 1 to know what's going on in book 2, and the same is going to be the case for book 3. And the reason why you would start with them is if you like banter, if you like the idea of a woman who really knows herself and knows what she wants, if you like when he is, like if you're someone who's like, hey, I loved billionaire romance until billionaires started messing with my country, this is a great alternative because he's a multimillionaire, but not a billionaire because nobody really needs that much money. Right? Like he still manages to drop a new car in your driveway when you really need one, but he's not necessarily like hoarding. And I think one of my favorite things, so going back to the Amy of it all, right? So you have Lane Kim is Rory's best friend, and she is Korean American, and that's because of one of the women who was Amy's like right hand. One of my really good friends from college is Filipina. And so I was like, if I switch this and I make this, in your family's culture, can I ask you 100,000 questions like all the time? / will you text your mom because she's the one who actually speaks Tagalog and I don't, and you don't really, and I want to make sure I don't Google and put things in incorrectly. And so I love that one of the things that's super important that you find across the Filipino culture is that comes with everything here in the States, this idea of being community oriented, right? We know so much of the US is so individualistic, but that's why there's this huge push on a lot of their young adults to go into healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
And that requires a certain level of like academic intelligence, which was a fun thing to play with when you're writing somebody who's a little bit of a dum-dum. But like I could still pull that in, and that idea of like being able to have that community oriented piece, and like how do you show that you care about a community if it's in a different way than what somebody else expected. And I think that's part of going back to the original question, how I was able to really make that he's more grounded, is the fact that everything goes back to like, I didn't ignore what my parents taught me, I just use it a little differently.
Awesome. Yeah. I think that my experience reading Fighting and not reading Flying yet, I wasn't confused going into it. There are obviously some like interwoven things from the previous book, but I think going back and reading the first one, I won't be like, oh, darn, I should have read this one first. But I think it'll help me to understand those characters better, knowing how they're portrayed in the second book as well. Let's see. Ashley skipped around on me. Now I'm confused.
That's because she already answered them.
I know. Okay. What was your process in balancing humor and heat with the deeper emotional undercurrents, especially with the family dynamics within the story?
I'm what I like to call a sweatpantser. So you guys have been interviewing 6 people a week. So you've heard people say pantsing and plotting, right?
Right.
Okay. So pantsing, you're flying by the seat of your pants. And plotting are the people who have like a very strict outline by scene, by chapter, by like everything. They know exactly what they're going to do. I'm in sweatpants, right? I've got a loose idea of what I'm going to do. I could leave the house. It's not totally like inappropriately unfounded, but I also don't look that put together. That's how I refer to my outlines. They're sweatpants. Like, I know that there are certain things that I think are either going to be like really hilarious or really pivotal to the conversations, and I want to get those moments in. And then I try to like build everything else around it. And sometimes I let the characters like tell me where they're going to go. So, there's always the flexibility for the story to kind of write itself, if on some level, like it tells me what it's going to do, because like they're chaos. They're your friend group that's full of chaos, and you need to sometimes let that be. And then like I was talking about this actually the other day with a friend, where I was like, there's so many scenes from like whether it's TV or movies or things that I would love to do, but then they end up on the cutting room floor just because they don't fit in the end. So like there was a whole scene where Mateo was going to try to go get drinks with the other guys, and like in absolute hilarity, like Nessa and Delia get dressed up in the worst possible spying costumes ever, and like a mishmash of things. They're trying to watch it. It makes everything go like sideways. And as they're all like walking back to town, because he like calls them out on it and like is like, clearly caught what you're doing. In that very like Luke to Jess on the bridge over the water, Delia shoves him into the water. And it was so fun, but it did nothing for the plot. It didn't service the story, and it like had to go on the cutting room floor. And I kept trying to figure out like, how do I tweak this to make it fit? How do I make it work? And it just couldn't. And so there's going to be like, at some point I'm going to have this great list of like scenes that would have been so fun if they could have worked, but they didn't fit their story.
He should have gotten attacked by a swan.
Yeah, there you go.
It got beaked.
That's my favorite part of the whole series.
Such a good scene.
He's my favorite.
Maybe you could do maybe you could do some like deleted scenes, short stories or something. That could be cool.
And I've done sometimes snippets also like in my newsletter, so definitely make sure that you're signed up for that. There was one where Delia's behind the bar and she's putting together drinks for everyone, and she makes an espresso martini specifically like for each of her friends' personalities, and they're each different, and she explains like what they are and why. And it just like it didn't really like need to stay in, so it went in a newsletter instead. Things like that are definitely like where you'll get some of those.
So fun. I love that.
My turn.
I know, I forgot.
So you've teased a little bit that there's going to be more books in the series to come.
Yes.
Can you give us a hint of who we might be falling in love with next?
So that's a funny thing you say because I have been super cagey for this next one, but I can tell you what is out there. So all 4 titles are going to be the 4 trauma responses. So the first one was flying, this was fighting, I'm working on freezing. And freezing is a buy for buy. I am not giving hints as to who or the actual like gender, sex, identity of the 2 people. But the other thing that I have put out there is that the nickname for one of the 2 people in the couple from the other is Siren. And I'll be dripping out more. I'll be dripping out more in the coming weeks, for sure, in the coming months, because I'm about almost a third of the way through drafting. So, like, I'll start to definitely tease more of it. But I literally gave away. So in book 1, the epilogue, instead of being like your traditional, like 5 years later, happily ever after, instead it's that River had been holding on to the secret, which was that he's the best man at Lily's wedding when she gets married. And like, this is where you get like all the like Lindsay, Dean, Rory of it all. So he's the one who hears that the groom is still into his ex, right? And he's holding on to this for all these years. And so he finally unburdens himself from that. And the epilogue goes that it's the morning of Steph and Lee's wedding, and he goes in to get the co-best man and walks in on Nessa in the hotel room with Mateo. Which is basically like roughly where we open, right? We open with a few months later and then we jump immediately back into that, and then it takes you through the timeline. And so like I almost opened with it from their POVs like right there, but then it felt like too close. And so I decided this time to try. I'm so bad at keeping secrets, so we'll see how long that this actually lasts. I'm the person who's like, oh my God, I bought you the best gift. Let me tell you exactly what it is.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your birthday's not till next week, but here you go.
Right?
And because it's just so amazing, and like I'm so excited, and I want you to be excited with me, and then like, oh right, I was supposed to wait. So I'm trying this. We'll see how it goes.
Well, I can tell you I'm excited, and I'll patiently wait for information, but I will definitely keep my eyes peeled for sure. Where can everyone else find you on socials? Where can they find your books?
So I'm Jordana Blake Books everywhere. My books are in Kindle Unlimited. I'm also available in paperback. I am in Scribbles Bookshop, which is an indie bookstore that you can get fully online. All of the inventory is signed. It's run by another indie author. And not all of the books are indie authors, but she definitely is amazing at making sure to like have there be a home for a lot of us.
Awesome.
She's got some really cool, like she's had some very, very cool trad pubbed folks also do drops with her. And everything there comes with like 1 or 2 extra pieces of like either art prints or stickers, different types of swag. And then across like bookshop.org, you know, like Barnes & Noble, whichever major retailer is nearest to you, as long as they offer the like print on demand, you should be able to get them there too.
I know. I'm like, where's my Kindle? I need to download it now.
I know. I'm like writing down Scribbles. I've never heard of that, but that is an amazing thing to do for indie authors.
It's so cool. So Haley, who runs it, is an author herself, and then like her house is basically a bookstore now. Like no joke, you have to see some of these videos she posts. It's amazing.
I need to be best friends with her.
I know. We have to figure out getting connected because that's really awesome. And that's part of the reason why we wanted to do this is because there are so many indie authors out there that don't get a lot of leeway, or they don't get to have like a platform to talk about their books. So that was part of the reason why we wanted to start our podcast. So I think that's really great.
It's so cool. It's such a cool community to be a part of, right? Like it's so funny. One other little thing that I'll say, because this was one of those like threads conversations that a couple of folks were in, where we're always talking about the girl gangs that there are in these books, whether it's a dark romance or something super sweet or fluffy, open door, closed door, like friendships are always like really strong. And it was the fact that it's like, right, because all of us were, whether we're a writer or a reader, a podcaster, a bookstagrammer, somebody who's just like reading in the background of everyday life. Every single one of us at some point was that girl who was like yelled at for her flashlight under her bed because she was reading past her bedtime, or the girl who was like, I don't really want to have to like run during recess, and I'm just going to like take my babysitter's club in Sweet Valley High over here.
Yep.
And the internet makes it that we all get to be in this place together. And so, like, nothing is more special than that and those connections. And so that's what you're fostering. You're part of the fact that this community exists because it's all of us creating it together. And I think that's amazing.
I love that ever since we started the Feature Friday, we've connected with like amazing authors, and we talk to them like almost every single day. Like Nicole and Cedar, they'll post like a post and we'll comment, and then all of a sudden we're in an hour-long conversation about whatever it is. And CK Darling, like I share every time on TikTok that whatever she's doing, and she's like, you guys are so great, thank you so much. And I'm like, it is so cool that we've built this relationship with amazing authors who like wanted to be a part of what we're doing. So thank you for being a part of that too.
This is all only exists if we all are in it together, right? Like, I mean, trust me, it also would be cool if you could be Emily Henry, or like, you know, somebody who could like drop a book once a year and then go back into hiding. Like, I'm sure that could be cool, but like, that's not what it is for the majority of us. And at the end of the day, like, I'm a reader as much as I'm a writer. And so there are folks who I will talk to who haven't read my books, but we both just read the same thing. And I'm just like, yeah, no, like, I need to talk to somebody about this. Like, I want to know your thoughts on this specific scene. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh my God, wait, you're a writer too? And I'm like, yeah, but wait. Like, we were in the middle of this.
Later.
Promote myself right now. I want to talk about the fact that this guy did this thing.
You came to the right place.
Yeah, I love the community that's built with indie authors, especially. Mm-hmm. It's amazing to be a part of. We are so incredibly happy that you joined us for our show. Feature Fridays are on every week. Make sure that you're following us, and we will link all of Jordana's information in the caption so that you can follow her as well. And if you are an indie author and you'd like to be featured, you can fill out our Google form in our link tree that is linked in our bio. Otherwise, Jordana, thank you so much for coming. It was amazing getting a chance to chat with you, and we will catch everyone next.
Bye, guys.